Try this exercise. Think of the last day, yesterday, day before, activities that you did. How many would you put into the category of reacting to someone else's request, reacting to someone else's demand, reacting to what you think others are expecting? And how many of the things were proactive, meaning you initiated it, not due to someone else's pressure or someone else's pressure is a strong word, but even in general, not reacting to someone else, period. You'll probably find that more reactive things than proactive. Number one, on a very basic level, if you go to work and you're not the boss, well, even if you are, we'll get to that in a moment, you have to respond to clients, to your superiors, to coworkers, to others that are addressing you that you need or they need you. So that's a reactive stance, that's a reactive position, posture. Even if you're a boss, you want to succeed in business, you have investors, and you have customers, you have employees. So at the end of the day, hopefully you call the shots, but so many things of your life, you're bound to others, and therefore you have to react to them. If there's some type of crisis or there's some problem, you need to react to it. And the same thing at home. We're reacting to our families, to our spouses, to different situations. So in general, because we are social creatures, we need to interact with people. So a lot of our experiences are very reactive. But let's go a little deeper. In our early formative years, our impressionable years, we begin reactive. I'm talking in behavior. A baby, a child, will react to its parents. A smile, because the child is dependent and hasn't yet learned independence. And as such, the child will react. We know there's the mirror neurons. The child will mirror what they see, what their parents are doing, the child will mirror. Then, of course, a parent's approval or disapproval. Parents who are very critical or judgmental will affect the child reacting to that. And the same with positive influences. Then you go to school and you have classmates and you have educators and teachers. All this creates a reactive type of environment. And then in general, as we grow older, the social pressure, peer pressure, while you want to fit in, you don't want to be laughed at, you don't want to be dismissed. So all that is reacting to expectations around us, expectations, demands, requests, what you think people expect. So essentially it creates an environment of reactivity. And though we may have a strong independent spirit, often it becomes submerged and even repressed because of all these other forces at work. So it's therefore, it's not seem to be a surprise that when it comes to life in general, we're generally more cautious. Which brings me to another factor, the psychological factor, the fears and insecurities of taking a risk. When you're proactive and you take initiative, you can fail. People may disapprove. Others may not agree with you. So many of us will play it safe. Why rock the boat, so to speak? So we react. I mean, another way of putting it is, I often ask audiences when I speak, how many of you consider yourselves conformists? Now, most people don't like to call themselves conformists, so you don't have necessarily many people raising their hand. Some do, but many don't. That doesn't mean they're not conformists. It just means that it's embarrassing a bit, because conformity sounds like I'm following herd mentality. I'm following the herd. I'm following the crowd. It's not always a bad thing if something has been proven. You don't have to go against the tide every time. But conformity is also safe. It's safety. It's a comfort zone. When do we become nonconformist? When, in most cases, when we're thrown out of our comfort zone, when our lives are disrupted, when our security blankets are stripped. So then you have no choice. You have to take initiative because or else you can sink, God forbid. So overall, most people are in the reactive mode. That doesn't mean there's never any proactive behavior, but generally speaking, it's the safer place to be. This, however, impacts everything in your life. How many opportunities, how many of your talents, your hidden talents, don't emerge because you're not ready to take the risk? you're not ready to take initiative. Now, there are people, no question, wired for many different reasons, either wired or due to life circumstances, that have become extremely proactive, sometimes to the extreme of hurting others. These type of geniuses. But many of them, if you look back, you'll see in their lives they may have suffered great loss. Steve Jobs always comes to mind. Extremely proactive. Built Apple, came out with products that were revolutionary. But you go back to his life was not an easy one. Was that what propelled him out of his comfort zone to do that? And when you think of other innovators in history, well, the point here is not really to analyze it, but to demonstrate that it doesn't come that easily. Often you'll find great genius, great innovation, and productivity coming as a result of pain. So be it. They say war is the father of invention, because war demands creativity, demands new ways to do things, because you have an enemy, there's danger, it's life and death. Many of medicines, many life-saving surgeries and so on were developed due to crisis. Many organizations were built after there was a loss or a tragedy. So that's not per se necessarily, no one wants tragedy, but it's not a bad thing to make that statement, because it's a fact. In a way, it redeems the tragedy in a certain sense. The point is, it doesn't come easily. Yet there are people, and I've met individuals who just have that proactive nature in them, because a leadership quality, a need to make a difference and ready to pay the price. And they do disrupt, and they make things uncomfortable at times, because that's what innovation is about. So we always need a balance. This isn't about extremes. So the real challenge is, how do we move from a reactive mode to a proactive one? How do we train ourselves to act and not react? So number one always begins with awareness. Awareness of the issue. If you're not aware of this problem and you think, hey, everything is going fine, you're obviously not going to do anything about it. But if you are aware, then you begin to ask yourself, okay, should I be reacting in this case, or should I be proactive? There are situations where we should be reactive. Obviously, your child calls you from school, or some other situation where there's a crisis or danger or something. Obviously, you need to react. In reaction itself, there's proactive methods, but I'm saying you have to react. You can't just say, oh, I'm now in a proactive mode, I'm not reacting to something immediately necessary. That's, of course, ludicrous. But the point is, how do we move? So I think awareness is the first step that we have to establish. The awareness of yourself, to establish how reactive you are. There are people, I've counseled many, and when you go back to their childhood, to their life, you see a pattern. You see a pattern of an angry father, often, just using one case study, and the child has learned to react to that father, and looking very closely and developing even very acute antennae to pick up of approval or disapproval of what mood the parent is in. It could be a mother, it could be both. And when the father walks into the door, just using one, as I said, case study, the child right away looks and sees and senses in a second, and develops a mode that reacts. And it's all subconscious to the point it becomes automatic. And that develops a type of trigger reaction every time when a person, am I being approved of, am I not being approved of? This doesn't always have to take on a blatant form, but it's constantly thinking, what are people thinking about me? Now, if that's the situation you're in, it's very important you be aware of that. And this first step is that awareness will lead you to the second step. Baby steps. There's no need to do this cold turkey. Find every day one thing that you are going to initiate. It could be as small as writing an email to someone that you haven't seen for a long time, just sending, hey, thinking of you, remembering good times, fond memories, etc. Begin to train yourself to actually do things. Again, it could be small steps. It could be something bigger, but something that you're able to do that does not create a whole fear and anxiety and all kinds of trepidation, whether you should do it or not, just to train yourself to initiate. Obviously, as time passes, do more of that. The more you bring into your life that mode, the more it's like exercising we'll call it the proactive muscle within you. And you'll discover that you have many things that you would like to initiate. You'll also discover talents, which is step 3, or you can say it's part of step 2, which is look at a talent that you have that maybe you have not pursued. You like to play music, you like to read, you like to travel, and not a reaction to someone. Simply doing it because that's who you are. Make time. Another step, initiate a gathering. Once a month in your house, host something. Invite friends, let them invite other friends. Some people do a book club, read something together, just talk, have refreshments. The point is that initiate and create situations where you are being proactive. And you have to do this on a regular basis, not a one-time thing. So slowly, you begin to incorporate in your life these type of things. Now, what about all the reactive things in your life? I would leave that alone for now. Because if you try to break habits, often it doesn't work, and you just have setbacks. The key is to introduce new things. And there's more ideas. I'm giving you a few. My point is to trigger in your mind that you come up with more ideas. That's also being part of proactive. You know that joke where a guy goes into the bookstore and asks the manager, where's the self-help section? So he says, it would defeat the purpose if I told you. In other words, we have to initiate. So find things that you can initiate. Actually make a schedule. Once a week, sit down and say, here are some ideas that I think I could be proactive about. You don't have to even begin right away. Every week, you begin a new proactive thing. Now, of course, this can take on the shape of a big project. Something for your school, something for your home, something for your community, for a charity, some volunteer work. Anything that is proactive, that you initiate. This doesn't mean that if someone calls you and says, hey, we need your help today, please come along. Even though that's reactive, but it's a good thing to do. But sometimes you should make the call. As you go along, there will be situations that'll be a little more difficult. It'll be more resistant. You know, as a head of an organization, I raise money. I have to raise money for the organization. That's not easy to do, but you have to be proactive because very few people come to you, say, here's money to support you. You have to make the call. You have to be know well you can be rejected. Not that easy to ask. So there are things that are going to be a lot more difficult, but I wouldn't be afraid of them as well. But in its time, take it step by step. And this is regarding anyone. I mentioned before a case study of someone that grew up and became a reactive person due to the fears, due to the reactions and attitudes of parents. But even if you don't have that, even if you grew up in a home where you had independence and they even taught you, encouraged, which I'll get to shortly, to be proactive, it still has to be implemented. So it's still a good idea to have something every day that you proact. Now, one more exercise. I mention this often in the morning when you wake up. So what do most people do? They're reacting. They're a little tired, so they press the snooze button. They react. Oh, there's pressure. I got to do some exercise, shower, eat breakfast, whatever order it is, and run to work. All this is reactive mode. You look at your calendar, your schedule, your deadlines, and again, responding to expectations. And not all of them are bad, but it's essentially reactive. Here's a proactive thing you do before anything else. Short one-line prayer or meditation called Moda'ani, saying, thank you for returning my soul to me. It's universal, very powerful when you think about it. First of all, you're expressing gratitude for your life, for getting a new day, new opportunities, a renewal of your contract and vote of confidence in you. Secondly, you're acknowledging your soul. Your soul, which is, frankly, your most proactive tool, because your soul is unique to you. It's the body that's far more reactive. The body is hungry, the body is thirsty, the body responds to other bodies, to other people. The soul is your unique mission in this world. So the more you connect to it, the more proactive you're going to be. What are you fulfilling your soul's mission? That's really the question that you're asking yourself in the morning, or acknowledging. So that leads us already into not just exercises, but to a whole new perspective on life. And that's where you really want to end up. You want to end up thinking a soul-centric, a soul-driven life. Call it a mission-centric life, which is fundamentally proactive and not reactive. Because reactive means you react to what's happening around you. Proactive means you're initiating. My soul has a mission. That mission is to illuminate the corner of my world with goodness and kindness and virtue and beauty. What am I doing to initiate that? It also will inform your reactions to things, but you'll also initiate. So that's the ultimate goal, is to become more soul-driven, to look at your life through the lens of your soul, not just your body. But that, again, takes time, step by step. So begin with that morning prayer or morning chant or meditation. If you want more on this, go to meaningfullife.com, just type in Moda Ani, M-O-D-E-H, first word, and Ani, A-N-I. Hebrew words means I acknowledge. I thank you for returning my soul. You'll find the actual meditation with ideas of, but obviously customize it to your particular needs. And finally, talking about customize, even the things that are rituals and routines in your life, don't just do them automatically. Become more deliberate. Think about them. And say include intention. So things that we do routinely, we brush our teeth, we commute, we eat breakfast, lunch, dinner. Think about it. Not just as, okay, I need to do that to sustain myself, but how does this meal in some way strengthening me? And that strength I can use to help other people, to help my family, to help others. So all this is basically also infusing, therefore, even the routines, even the reactive routines of your life, or the rituals, I call them, with deeper, deliberate intent, which is essentially a proactive mode. Do all these things, and you'll see your life will change. It's the steps, it's the baby steps, but are done consistently. That's the key to the process. So with that in mind, let's talk about a few other important things. Think of a captain and a ship. You don't want to hear that the ship is telling the captain where to go. The captain is reacting to the ship. Obviously, if there's an urgent matter, the captain will react. But generally, it's the captain that's navigating the ship, is steering the ship where it should go. You're the captain of your ship. Your ship is your body. Your ship is your life. But you're the captain. So thinking about your mission in life is critical. Think of a company. A company doesn't begin by reacting. It begins by being proactive. To start a new company, you need a mission statement. That mission statement, in turn, informs what the company will do, the organization, the entity, the institution. So this comes down to discovering my mission in life. So I mentioned the Moda Ani is a good way to begin. But obviously this is already a bigger project. But it's a critical one, because what you want to become is not just a person that's making it and managing your life. You don't want to just be surviving. You want to be thriving. And thriving means discovering yourself, your strengths, and what is your unique mission. A while back, I created a course, Discovering Your Personal Mission Statement. We call it sometimes Midlife Miracle. You can check it out online as well at meaningfullife.com. And I'll lay out there a formula of getting to know yourself. I call it POP, plus P, plus H equals M. P-O-P-P, understanding your personality. O, your opportunities. P, people that you know. P, the places. Plus passion, the next P. Plus H, a higher calling, a higher cause, equals M, your mission. So you can look into it. We have more information on it online. But this is really, ultimately, proactive living is living from the inside out, not from the outside in, where you are initiating. Again, I want to qualify. This does not mean we don't react. Of course, there are many situations we have, but even reaction of a commander-in-chief, of a captain, is different than the reaction of a follower. Because the reaction is part of their whole proactive approach to things. Something comes up, obviously you need to react, but you're going to react not just defensively and apologetically, but the best defense will be offense. So you'll see a true leader who's really proactive. Even when there's a problem that you react to, they will solve the problem, not just to plug the hole, not just as a Band-Aid, but they'll look for a way to use that challenge to become an opportunity to live up to their offense, to their proactive and initiative approach to life. So it's really about taking control. Now, what about all the fears and insecurities? Of course, there'll be many, and especially if you grew up with that. So that's something where we go back to the awareness. You need to know you're going to have resistance at times. That's why I said take it step by step. Do the things that are easier, and then work on the things that are harder. At some point, you want to be able to feel proud that at the end of every day, I initiated something today. I got something done. I led the way. Now, obviously, there are people who are wired to be more leader types and are very, very proactive in that sense. Each of us is different, but we all have unique elements that others don't have, that we can initiate, that we can be proactive about. That's how it is. It's a powerful statement in the ethics of the fathers. Who is the wise person? The one who learns from everyone. Every person he or she learns from. That means everyone has something to learn and everyone has something to teach. Everyone. And ultimately that also reveals and unearths and releases, I would say unleashes, your great potential. How much of that lays buried? The song that has not been sung due to the fact that you've been reacting so much. And to conclude with Michelangelo's beautiful response when asked how he sculpts those exquisite angels in the marble, he answered, I saw the angels trapped in the marble and I carved and set them free. You have that angel within you. Sometimes it's trapped in concrete, in marble, in concrete, in other materials. And it's your mission is to help uncover that. And finally, find friends that encourage you instead of discourage you. Friends that are inspiring, that give you that vote of confidence, which is so vital. Because we can't always do things all alone. And you'll discover a new part of yourself that you have perhaps not seen. And not just you need it, we all need it. The whole world needs your song, your unique contribution to initiate, proactive. There are three types of people. People who make things happen, people who watch things happen, and people who ask what happened. Be the person who makes things happen. Be blessed and be well. This has been Simon Jacobson, meaningfullife.com, where you can find this and many other programs. Please subscribe to our offerings, to our growing, robust YouTube channel. Please share, and love to hear your thoughts, comments, feedback, suggestions, ideas. Be blessed and be well.
This program is brought to you by the Meaningful Life Center. Please help us continue our programs. Make even a small contribution at meaningfullife.com/donate.